Hello everyone, welcome to a guide on how to complete the Glory of the Dream Raider achievement for your Shadow Dusk Dreamsaber mount from Igira the Dream's Hope. This guide will be going over every boss in its Gimmick achievement in depth, but with an understanding you already know the original fight on normal mode or above. Knowledge of heroic mode doesn't really apply here, as you should never approach these achievements on heroic or above anyways, unless you're a weirdo. For the very first boss, Gnarlroot, once the trash is cleared and the boss is safely placed in the middle of the arena, you will notice flowers surrounding the environment you are about to engage in. There are 8 of these bluish flowers surrounding around the arena, and they very typically are placed on the edge of the circle you are fighting in. In order to complete this achievement, you must burn all 8 of these flowers. In order to do this, you must wait for the boss to transition into his intermission phase. Whereas you would normally use the debuff you gain to burn the roots to stun the boss, you will now use those same debuffs to burn the flowers scattered all around you. All you have to do is run your character's body over the flower and it will burn it. Everyone can help do this, and no raid damage or lethal mechanics occur when they burn. Once all of the flowers are burned, you could burn the remaining roots and then kill the boss like normal. For my raid, I placed markers on each flower to indicate where they were for people. We also preemptively spread around the circle so every flower was burned almost instantly once we gained our debuffs. A pretty easy achievement overall. For the cruelty-free achievement with Igira the Cruel, you must free the scorched critters. In order to do this, locate the torment forged pots in both edges of the room before you engage the boss. You will find 2 on the left facing the boss and a single pot on the right. The critters are within these pots, and to free them, you must simply hit the pots with the boss's blistering spears mechanic. What I did was pull the boss to the 2 pots on the left and waited for her to throw out her spears, instructing my raid to place at least 1 spear in the pots to break them. No raid damage outside of the original mechanic occurs, and you should free your friends like you usually would. After the 2 pots are broken, we waited for the boss to jump into the middle for her marked for torment mechanic. We then soaked the axe circle as a raid and followed the mechanics as needed. After she returned to a state she could be moved, we kited her over to the lone pot and repeated the step from before, but only with 1 less pot. After this pot is broken, you could kill the boss and repeat the usual mechanics. I advise, if she reaches a second torment phase, to just soak the dagger circle and activate the heal absorb simply to limit your raid's movement, and just allow everyone to keep slamming damage. Whatever works for you. At the third boss, Volcoross, we have the Swag Champion achievement. As you enter the room of the giant snake, and you take a right onto the stairs, you will see a small path of molten rocks you can walk on. If you walk on these rocks around the pillar, you will find a horn swag that you can pick up. Have one of your 2 tanks pick this up. After this, you will designate your groups how you see fit when splitting sides and engage the boss. Once pulled, the player who picked up the horn swag will have an extra action button to click that summons a new add into the fight called Lieutenant Lunker. Do not attempt to kill this frog, as it has billions of HP and is not the mob you are intended to kill here. With this lieutenant summoned, he will begin to summon his own smaller frogs called Sizzling Swaggers to help him during the encounter. These adds will fixate random players and must be eaten by the boss. In order to make the boss eat the smaller frogs, the tank will need to position themselves onto existing sizzling swaggers. Doing so will cause the melee attacks of the boss to consume the frog. Volcoross must eat 30 of these frogs before he dies, so if you see a frog chasing you, bring it to the tank, and if you are the tank, move yourself to existing frogs. I just used Lust on Pull and did the boss's mechanics as usual. The achievement isn't super difficult, and when he eats a frog, nothing really happens. The ad is just killed, and the boss gains no buff, nor triggers any extra damage to the entire raid. Once you reach Larodar's sanctum from jumping downward after Volcoross, take a look to your right in the bramble-like cage. You will see a petrified dryad and a small doe named Ivy. Ivy is necessary for the achievement, don't let the doe hit you on the way out. When you approach Ivy, you will notice she gets scared and will try to run away from you. Have a player guide Ivy alone towards the boss's arena. Healers must heal Ivy to full before starting the encounter as well, and must keep an eye on their health throughout the fight. Ivy has many stacks of a debuff called Singed. You must remove this debuff completely before the boss dies, or Ivy will die also. In order to do this, you must click the seed in the center of the room and spray Ivy with the frontal cone it creates, so you must conserve energy for Ivy and rune management at the same time. Once all the stacks are removed, still keep an eye on Ivy's health and do not let them die to mechanics the boss does. The biggest time to be concerned for Ivy is when the raid is stacking for Raging Inferno, as she will take large damage during the cast. You can reduce it by luring Ivy into the safe tree, but it's often she'll just walk away again because there are too many players scaring her. So, just be sure to keep her alive. can also give IV buffs to increase your healing throughput, such as Mark of the Wild. Once you reach the intermission phase at 35% health or the third Raging Inferno cast, now is a good time to use Bloodlust and send all cooldowns to burst the boss down and keep Ivy alive if you successfully removed all the stacks from her. If she still needs stacks removed and you are close to 35%, be sure to slow your DPS. She could also be hit by the tank frontal in phase 2, making her receive 100% reduced healing, possibly wiping you as no one can keep her alive. But I'm not too sure how true this is, just aim it away from Ivy to be safe. For my group, we had a designated healer specifically watching Ivy at all times to keep them healthy, so if you normally 3 heal that fight, 4 could help you. Once the boss dies, you will receive your achievement and Ivy is a battle pet in the mail. For the Council of Dreams boss, Ducks in a Row, take a look to your left of the arena circle and locate the NPC named Sergeant Quackers. As the achievement states, you must recruit Sergeant Quackers to join you in the fight. In order to do this, everyone in the raid must have been turned into a duck at least once, including the tanks. While you are a duck, you can spam click Quackers to get his attention and join the fight. This achievement has had some pretty buggy results and you may wipe a couple of times before it works, so just be wary it might not work right away. I recommend stacking your entire group next to Quackers on pull and allowing Pip to cast his Polymorph Bomb and not eating the grass to return to normal. Instead, just let the debuff timer run out and the raid will be disoriented when it does so, but also turn everyone else into a duck. Everyone should be spam clicking Quackers to get his attention, and once everyone has been turned into a duck at least one time, he should join you. It's been reported damaging the bosses warned them unworthy for Quackers to care about joining you, so to be safe, my group just didn't damage the bosses a great amount until he joined the fight. Once he did, we'd lust and burned them down. Oftentimes, you're going to find a lot of grass on the ground at once because of this strategy, so keep intentionally spreading the duck debuff and eat the grass to help your healers get through it. Once he's in the fight, you just do the mechanics like usual with no added effects, and when they die, you'll get Sergeant Quackers as a pet as well. With the 6th boss, Nymue, her achievement is called A Dream Within a Dream. To get this achievement, you will need the players of your raid to type the /sleep emote into the chat. I recommend making a macro with just the emote, as you may need to spam it during the fight. When you go to sleep, a green version of your character will wake up while your original self stays still. You control yourself exactly the same way, but the only condition is taking any damage throughout the fight will wake you up and you will need to try again. This includes damage from crossing the lines of Verdant Matrix and the dot from the green soak pool's surging growth. While asleep and the boss is engaged, players will see green butterflies floating around the arena. You must collect 5 of these butterflies by clicking them. Everyone can help do this and should. Once you collect 5 butterflies, an ad will spawn that must be killed quickly called the Manifest Monarch. This mob has a pretty decent chunk of health but has an incredibly annoying and deadly mechanic called Wild Winds. This will cause the new ad to send out waves of orbs constantly in all directions that are near impossible to dodge, and will knock you back if they make contact with your character. They deal high damage and are generally really annoying. I recommend lusting the ad when it spawns and burning it down ASAP. For my group, we had everyone use their /sleep emote before the pull started and would try to grab as many of the butterflies as possible before damage started. If you cannot get that done, that's okay, as you can keep doing it throughout the fight. The best times to do this are as soon as the ancient ads and after the raid-wide damage Nymue casts onto the raid after the same ancient ads die. Whatever works best for your raid, but if you not get them all on one pull, I recommend just waiting until the mentioned times to try again and do the fight as normal in the meantime. On Haven't We Done This Before for Smolderon, you must extinguish 6 runes on his platform during the encounter. When you reach the boss on both his left and right, you will spot these runes, 3 for each side. These are the runes you must extinguish during the fight. Place markers on each one and assign players to each rune so you know which ones are finished and when it's safe to move on to the next. To extinguish the runes, send at least 6 players back to the beginning of the raid. In the middle of the split where you killed trash before, you will find a large pond of water. Walk into this water and you will gain a 10-minute buff. This buff allows you to remove the runes on Smolderon. Once this boss is pulled, a player with the buff can stand on a rune and will have an extra action button once they can press. Doing so will begin an 8-second long channel that cannot be interrupted or you must restart the channel. Be sure to know you will be safe for the entire cast, as you don't want lava to pool at your feet as you try to do so and die. Once your channel is finished, it will deal a chunk of damage to the entire raid, so don't do all the runes at once and stagger them at least 1 to 2 at a time. For my group, we pulled the boss to the edge and rotated around the room accordingly per the boss's mechanics, and did each rune one at a time during the downtime of the tank soak. Be sure your raid does not stack themselves on the runes when lava geysers come out to allow your rune players to have free space. Do all the other mechanics and kill the boss after each rune has been extinguished. For Tindral's Whelp I'm Lost achievement, you must rescue the 6 lost whelps during the fight. These whelps can only be found and collected during the intermission phases where you are dragon riding and chasing the boss. These whelps can be collected by flying through them, and once you do, you will receive a debuff called Lost Whelp. If the player dies while carrying that whelp, you will have to wipe and try again. You can find the whelps very high in the tree in the center of the encounter around the branches. They all spawn in very predetermined locations as well, meaning once you memorize where they are, they will be there every single time. The trickiest whelp to get is found near the Phase 3 platform higher up and just westbound to it. You can get this whelp during the first intermission if you have someone quick enough to, but you may have better luck just trying it on the second intermission. I highly recommend getting the other 5 whelps during the first intermission and sending the majority of your group to go and get them, while a smaller portion grabs the green orbs for the damage and healing buff. You can also make a target macro for Lost Whelp to help you find the whelps easier. A good strategy is to lust either the shield of Phase 2 or Phase 3, depending on your damage is looking. Most of your group will arrive late to the platform, so you may be behind in damage for a bit, so a Bloodlust can catch you up where you need to be. We also called out in chat every time someone grabbed a whelp, so we knew what the count was and if we still needed some or not. Once we obtain all 6 whelps, just kill the boss and make sure the players holding them do not die. For the final boss, Memories of Teldrassil from Fyrakk, you must collect all 6 memories scattered around the raid and return them to a Yggdrasil. To do this, you must first collect 6 new buffs. A player can only hold 1 buff at a time. On the map shown, you will find the locations of every wisp you must collect for your achievement. Send 6 players to gather each one. The buff lasts for 1 hour and persists through death, but has had the buggy result of one player losing their buff after a wipe and forces you to do it all over again. You could also just wipe for an hour, but let's hope neither of these things are the case. Once you have all 6, you may engage the boss. Get the boss to Phase 2 to begin your work for the achievement, as nothing changes in Phase 1 or the first intermission. As you progress Phase 2, new named NPCs will spawn that healers must heal to full. These are the 6 spirits you acquired from earlier. If they reach the tree before reaching full health or die to outside mechanics, you will need to wipe. These named NPCs don't always spawn with the regular groups of spirits you must heal, so be mindful of where to move. The named spirits, however, do have set spawn locations. The spawn order looks like this, and you will need to plan accordingly. In order, the first add to spawn will be Idrenia, second, Lyria, third, Denathrion, fourth, Milen, fifth, Dendrithis, and sixth, Fildan. Fildan is the trickiest one, as he will spawn almost immediately after second wave of Shadow Flame Devastation, otherwise known as the giant gray AoE line. If any of the named NPCs make contact with the Screaming Souls, they will die instantly and result in a failed achievement. Be sure to very quickly clear the Screaming Souls as necessary for your group. Make sure your tanks don't let the Infernal adds deal damage to the NPCs, healers have to heal as well, and don't let Fyrakk himself hit them with the frontal. Once every single named NPC has reached the tree at full health, bring the boss to his 3rd phase and Bloodlust when you do. Burn him down and do the Phase 3 mechanics and earn yourself the mount. Congratulations on your mount! If you're looking for more guides in the future on how to do achievements like these, be sure to subscribe. I hope this video helped you towards your goals, and if you're looking for a group to run with, be sure to check the Discord link in the description. I raid lead these types of raids multiple times with pub groups all the time. Take it easy, guys.